Well, good evening, fellow Toastmasters. The point of today's speech is to talk about recruiting club members. Part of the point of the successful club series is to talk about how to make the club the best club it can be. And one of the most important things in a Toastmasters club is its membership. Now, one of the things that's important about membership is the distinguished clubs program. And the distinguished club program says that we have to meet a certain number of educational goals, and a certain number of leadership goals. And the way that you meet them is by completing pathways projects. New members complete more pathways projects than existing members. So I've been in the club for 10 years and I've done all we'll call them the easy projects, and I'm stuck on some level 4 and level 5 projects, and I'm sure that's not an unusual thing. So when Manash asked me to speak, this now is included. The Successful Club series is now included in the path. It had not been previously, so this counts towards my path. But I just don't find it easy to pick projects anymore. But with a new member, you have an icebreaker, you have an evaluation, you have an opportunity to do a lot of different projects, and Toastmasters rewards the club for having that. In addition, in order to be a successful club, we have to have basically a base number of 20 members. Right now, we have 19. So we constantly need to do recruiting. People come and go. But also new members have new ideas, and it makes the meetings more interesting. So let me go through the elements of having a successful club. The first thing is having great meetings. If you want to get new members, you have to have great meetings, because that's why people come. And after they come, that's why they stay and come back. The first important thing, and I am guilty of this as can be, starting and ending on time. Most people, unlike me, are punctual and would like to know they're going to get to the meeting and it's going to start when it says it's going to start. They're not sitting around feeling awkward. They don't know everybody. So starting and ending on time is a key to being a successful meeting. In fact, it's good for participants to arrive early and help set up and make sure that people have the evaluation resources. And if like last week, we had refreshments and we needed to have the table set up, and Rachel brought name tags, but we didn't have them early enough to give them out to people. So that's something about being early, or being, even being early, not just on time. In each meeting, the club officers need to fulfill their responsibilities. There we go. That could include the sergeant of arms setting up. It could include the Toastmaster of the day, making sure that all of the attendees are there. Also means the Toastmaster of the day, making sure that the roles are filled beforehand, so that we aren't at the meeting asking, okay, who can be timer? The meeting should progress at a good pace. You shouldn't have lags or gaps in the program. So that means, and we've been very good about this, our agenda tends to have, or I don't know if the new agenda has, I haven't looked recently, but the old agenda had the specific time goals for when you were going to get to each piece of the meeting. That's incredibly helpful in an agenda, so that you know about how long something's going to take, and you can tell when you need to speed up a little bit or slow down a little bit. And we've been pretty successful with that in this club. The members have to be enthusiastic. You have to have a high energy level and a positive attitude. Otherwise, the members are going to be like, well, why would I want to be part of this group? And every project should be from pathways. And you might say, well, as long as people are speaking, why does that matter? Well, that goes back to what I started with. If you're trying to meet the goals of the successful club series, you have to have a certain number of level 1s completed, a certain number of level 2s completed, a certain number of 3s, 4s, a few DTMs if possible. You can't do that if your projects aren't from pathways, because you're not progressing on your path. And the Toastmasters program is designed to help you progress in your speaking ability. So the projects in pathways are designed to do that. Now let's talk about actually recruiting the people. The win-win interaction when a new member comes in. What you want is for the potential new member to have a wonderful experience on their guest trip. That's why in our recruiting days, like last week, we have we try to get, experienced speakers, but we also have refreshments and we try to be more outgoing. We do more outreach. And if the person has a great experience, they're likely to then say, I want to come back and do this again. The win-lose situation is when you encourage them and you've said to them, this is great. And they say, I want to join the club. But then when they actually join, you don't support them in the club. You don't assign them a mentor, perhaps, or you rush them to do their icebreaker before they're ready. We actually try to encourage people to do their icebreaker right away because that's part of the enthusiasm. Once you've gotten sort of the adrenaline rush of doing the speech and having people give you feedback and tell you what a great job you did, that's part of cementing the relationship with the new member in the club. The lose-lose, and we've seen this a few times, is when a visitor comes and then they don't join. And it could be for many reasons, but they've forfeited the ability to learn the valuable skills and interact within the group, and the club has lost a potential member. So we've made an effort to recruit, and it hasn't borne fruit. But there are times when we bring like family members, and maybe it's not even something we want our family members to be a member of. We want them to view us as as part of the audience when we're speaking. So there are times when a guest does not become a potential member, but our attitude should be a new person comes in, this is a potential new member, reach out to them, tell them the benefits. I think that's my next slide. The main benefit that Toastmasters advertises is to improve your speaking ability. That's usually the gateway because people have all kinds of issues with speaking, but that fear of public speaking is very big, and it's something that Toastmasters is incredibly good at addressing. It also gives us leadership development, and it's a little bit insidious because you would think that leadership development is only being the president or the vice president, but actually being Toastmaster of the day is an important leadership skill. Being an evaluator is an important leadership skill. So these are all parts of leadership development that you just sort of get by fulfilling roles. I found that some of the things that I learned in Toastmasters have come in very, very handy at work. Table topics turned out to be an excellent practice for interviewing for a job, especially if there's a panel. The idea that if they ask you a question that you're not sure about the answer, you can move off on something else that you actually want to talk about, and it works. It was surprising that, if I didn't answer the question directly, I could answer another question, and it worked. But the comfort level of doing that comes from table topics. It improves your social skills, especially if you're somewhat introverted. Here's an opportunity to have one-on-one communication with people, when even providing feedback is relationship building. Some of these ideas about better social skills come from in-person meetings. I think when you're on Zoom, it doesn't have quite the same effect. So our club is particularly successful, and we've attracted new members who are particularly interested in the fact that we were in person at least part of the time. And it builds self-esteem being part of Toastmasters. These are, again, some of our sales points. If you thought public speaking was an insurmountable barrier to progression in your job, here's a way to empower you to get over it. There's practice and repetition of a difficult skill, which gives you self-confidence. You get recognition for doing a good job, and it's not work-related, which is a bonus. And we all know that every member is valued for their contributions, for their ability to fill roles, and when it gets to the summertime, for their ability to fill leadership positions in the club. So we have an acronym of how to close the sale. It's CLOSE. Easy to remember. The first part is compare. You have to remind people that for only a few dollars a week, you can get excellent speech training. It's self-paced, it's user-friendly. If you were doing this at work, if you took a speech class through your job, it might be a 3-day training and there would be a lot of pressure and it might be hundreds or thousands of dollars, but this is pretty easygoing and social. The next part is lose. You might ask them, well, what do you have to lose? In the case of Toastmasters, you have a great deal of to lose if you don't join. First of all, you won't get over your fear of public speaking or whatever it is that you were trying to learn from coming to the club. And there's a lot of gain, confidence, ability, and interaction with others. O is for opinion. After reviewing the individual ways that a Toastmasters member will enhance the person's life, ask them for their own viewpoint. Well, we do this. So how did you like our meeting? What did you think of it? And, you know, how do you feel like you could benefit from being a member? I don't think we do that as much as we might. S is for story. One of the powerful closing techniques is to tell your story. I do this all the time. And it really came home to me at the open house last week when we went around the room and everybody is saying how long they've been in the club. And I realized what a large proportion of our club is really fairly new, and their story of how they came and what they've gotten out of it. And then our more long-time members telling their story, how they were able to give a speech at the synagogue, or how they got their job, or as I was just telling my story of how it helped me in an interview. These are all ways of saying, this is what I was just like you when I joined Toastmasters, and I was afraid of public speaking. You couldn't pay me enough to get up in front of a lectern, and now I volunteer for it, and it's fun, it's rewarding, and you too could be a success story. And the last piece is example. You can tell the person what they can expect to achieve. So if you join our club today, you'll get a welcome email. You can participate in table topics. You can be timer and grammarian, and we will assign a mentor to you if you need one. The great vice president of membership, and if I remember correctly, we don't have one at the moment. But normally the vice president membership and the treasurer work together to close the deal once the person is interested. We have a membership application. I can put it in the chat after I finish, but we actually have a membership application with the Kemp Toastmasters information already filled out in it. And what I will do when someone is a new member or is a prospective member, I will email them the membership application and explain to them the various different things. So most people are new members, but you could be a dual member if you're in another club. You could be reinstated if you were a member previously. You could be transferring from another club. In filling out the application, we always have to talk about the financial. It's a little complicated. New members always pay. They pay a $20, I think it's $25 new member fee plus the membership, which is prorated over the different months. It's about $10 a month. Transfer members transfer their membership from one club to the other, and they don't pay. If the person has been recruited by someone in the club, when I submit this to Toastmasters International, I will put your name down as the sponsor. So it's important to capture that if it's someone has actually brought the person in. There's a section on payment, as I mentioned. We generally do not ask people to give us credit card information in this club. We generally have them fill out a paper form. I submit that paper form to Toastmasters International. There is now a way that I can have Toastmasters International send the person a link for and then they pay online with a credit card, and it is no mess, no fuss. So to conclude with this, when we're recruiting, we want to show enthusiasm, why we love our club and why you should join also. I've gone over some techniques of how you could do that and encourage people to come and stay. We can tell them about the meeting roles that they would be able to fulfill. And of course, we demonstrate that when they come to our club. And we provide mentor assistance. So if somebody, we haven't done it much in our club, but we do try to mentor people and help them along when they are brand new and they're figuring out the basics of speechcraft. And we have plenty of materials and information. You can always ask me if you have a prospective member to send them an email and get the ball rolling. And we haven't done this in our club, but we could, if we wanted to, do an official induction of new members. And that, again, would make people feel welcomed and part of the club. So all of this together gives you a win-win sale. Thank you.